Welcome to Occult 101. This is Frater BF, and this segment is going to focus on the second Hermetic principle, the principle of correspondence. This principle shows the ways in which our reality is patterned and how the seemingly different aspects of this reality intermingle and reflect each other. You've probably heard the phrase, as above, so below. This phrase is specifically talking about the correspondence of the spiritual world with the physical. What occurs in the spiritual realm is mirrored here in the flesh. The old Beatles song, Within You, Without You, again is expressing the same idea. It says, when you've seen beyond yourself, then you may find peace of mind is waiting there, and the time will come when you see we are all one, and life flows on within you and without you. The lyrics cleverly paint a dualistic picture of the smallness of human life in comparison with the great beyond. But its real message is that everything is really just one thing, and that the pieces of the world we inhabit are patterned after one another. The outer and inner worlds are reflections of each other, and work together within this scheme of a fractalized universe. The macrocosm and the microcosm are the same scheme at a different scale. We can see evidence of this by examining the ways in which the cosmos and the human body mirror each other. Our solar system, with its central sun and revolving orbs, is not unlike an atom with a nucleus being encircled by electrons. The universe itself is one large body with a consciousness to match. A consciousness that's so enormous that it can only be experienced individually, dispersed throughout space-time as all the living organisms that exist. Even within the confines of the planet Earth itself, we can find parallels. Take a look at the structure of trees, and now compare that to the structure of the human lung. Pretty close, and both used for the same purpose, essentially. Look at the way rivers carry water, like our own circulatory system, branching out into smaller streams to deliver its life's blood to its body. This fractal nature can be seen in the golden mean spiral and how it is a shape repeated over and over again in creation. The spiral goes infinitely in both directions with its ratios intact. All things are connected. The universe is an ecosystem on a holistic scale. Not only are all the parts connected, but they're expressions of the same thing, which is why there is this type of pattern to the way creation is formed. Our individual minds are the same as the universal mind on a much smaller scale. The reflection of higher orders into the lower is a pattern clearly delineated on the Kabbalist tree of life and its four worlds. The uppermost world is called Atziluth, and it is essentially the mind of God, more or less. It is mirrored beneath it in Bria as creation coming into form. The bottommost point being a direct reflection of the uppermost point, where is found the Sephira of Tiferet, being a purified form of individual consciousness in humanity, or what's called Christ consciousness, and Kether being the primary source of all things, that is to say, the highest consciousness of the spiritual world itself. From there, the pattern flows downward and onward into the physical world. I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, and we'll go into that in greater depth about this glyph in a future video. In my opinion, the reason astrology is relevant is because it extrapolates its scheme directly from the principle of correspondence. That is to say, the same forces which shape the physical world and the information contained within it are the same mechanisms operating when a sentient creature is birthed into that world. And so the conditions at the time of one's birth are a direct reflection of the state of the universe when it came into being. They correspond. They correlate. The success of the book, The Secret, for example, is based on this idea and how it is applicable in people's lives. All New Agey ideas like this are basically watered-down versions of Hermetic or spiritual principles. Here you have the ideas of the principle of mentalism and the principle of correspondence on display. The inner and outer worlds affect each other and correspond. Visualization works because it is a patterning of thought, and from this internal patterning of thought, the outer world starts to take its shape. This is the foundation of magical thinking, and most all the magics of the world are dealing directly with these two ideas, whether explicitly stated or not. The more you look into things like rituals and magic, the more the idea of correspondence comes into play. There are many correlations between various systems that are not just coincidences or random similarities. They're all following the same patterns and expressing them in a different way. When a Christian says that man is made in God's image, they're really just stating the Hermetic principle of correspondence in a different way. Again, this is an idea that has been adapted and somewhat watered down for mass consumption. The spiritual world and the physical world correspond. The inner search reveals the outer world and vice versa. This is why the Gnostics will tell you that if you want to know God, then go within. Meditate on this, and I'll be back next time to discuss the principle of vibration. Agape.